Hello, welcome to the video. And today we're going to be discussing about my USMNT roster for the April camp. So let's begin. So before we continue with the overview, let's go over one thing. Like and subscribe because it is very important that you guys like and subscribe so you guys can never miss another video. So let's continue. So let's look at the April camp overview. April 19, the US will be playing against Mexico and Arizona. Yeah, pretty much by this info, you guys already know who's going to be filling up most of the seats, and it's going to be Mexico. There's lots of Mexicans in the states of Texas, California, uh, Arizona, obviously. Uh, there's lots of Mexicans pretty much everywhere in the U.S. Like let's just face the facts over here. If it's U.S. versus Mexico, we already know who's going to be filling up the stadium, and it's pretty much going to be Mexico. Pretty much as well, like everywhere except Ohio, like pretty much like Ohio's that special that Americans actually fill up their stadium and fill up their own stadium, so thank God Ohio exists. um but pretty much everywhere else, pretty much Mexico fills it up. Um, Obviously, this is going to be a new annual Continental Classico game. Pretty much one game, and pretty much is the U.S. against any side in the American continent. It can be Canada, it can be Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay. It can be some random cornball nation like Ecuador or Paraguay, or it can be some side from Central America like El Salvador or Honduras, or it can even be like who knows, Martinique. Some very random CONCACAF sides as well. So obviously the US will be playing against a side that will be from the American continent. This is not a FIFA sanctioned window, so pretty much, that takes all the excitement out of the game already. Like all the all the all the facts that it's the US versus Mexico, it takes off all like the fun out of the game. That means no Christian Pulisic, Tim Weah, Ricardo Pepi, no Tyler Adams, no Weston McKennie. Obviously those guys, none of them. So obviously that takes out the excitement out of the game. And pretty much this is gonna be an MLS versus Liga MX All Star game. Pretty much that is what it's gonna be. MLS, well, the US might have Alejandro Sendejas and some other guys from Liga MX or from other leagues, who knows? But obviously, this is pretty much going to be an all-star game. For Mexico, who knows? You might get like a Chicharito back. Who knows? Most likely, U20 players with the U20 World Cup coming up next month. I'm not expecting no U20 players like coming for for this camp, and if there are any, I think that they're going to be like in incredible form, and obviously it's going to be sides that normally don't release T20 players. So that's what I think it's going to be. So let's see over this. Goalkeepers obviously run Santana on John Pool's camp. Obviously, if Anthony Hudson will be choosing this, I believe he'll be choosing Roman Celentano and Sean Johnson. Pretty much, I think that's what it's gonna be. But obviously, if I were the manager, I'd probably select both Roman Solentano and John Pulskamp. Like Sean Johnson, I was expecting him to make Toronto a very very good side, but obviously that hasn't happened. Obviously, they're still like pretty bad. They have signed some guys like Matt Hedges and Sean Johnson. Obviously, some other guys to fix up their defense, but obviously they're still pretty shaky down there, and obviously their attack, it's like pretty average. Midfield pretty good, I say, but however, I think it's pretty much Toronto FC is pretty much all Bernadeschi, Michael Bradley, Jonathan Osorio. I don't think Matt Hedges nor Sean Johnson have been that good this season. But obviously, we're getting out of topic here. Obviously, Ron Santel and John Pulskamp should be chosen for many, many factors. One of the factors is being their age. Sean Johnson is in like he's about to approach his mid 30s, I believe. No, I'm exaggerating. I think it's like 32, 33. So I think it's pretty old. He's pretty old. Obviously, Ron Solentano and John Pulskamp are 23 and 21, and both of them have chances to go abroad, depending on how they decide to play in this season in MLS. Um, Obviously, if I were gonna start one, I think I'm gonna start Roman Celentano. I think he's been doing a lot better this year than John Pulskamp. I feel like John Pulskamp would be a backup goalkeeper in the Olympics. Roman Celentano, I don't think he is Olympic eligible. I don't think so, but if he is, I would like to see him there. Uh, if for Roman Centeno, I think it's Gold Cup this year for him. I think obviously with him being like the fourth choice goalkeeper for fifth choice goalkeeper, I think he should be. He should be in the race. So obviously this is pretty interesting with the goalkeeper race so far. If with more goalkeepers going abroad, I think it's going to be getting even more interesting. Gaga Serena, obviously he can be available. Who knows? But obviously, for me, I'm thinking it's going to be Roman Salentano and John Pulskamp for me, in my personal opinion. So yeah. Next, let's go to the center back. Center backs is going to be Walker Zimmerman, Henry Kessler, Philip Quinton, and Lucas Barley. So let's be real over here. Um, Walker Zimmerman is probably going to be selected, so I'm pretty much going to be choosing Walker Zimmerman either way. I think he has valuable World Cup experience, like actually valuable World Cup experience. Like I know that he wasn't that good during the World Cup. He's pretty average, but obviously for an MLS player being average against actually good national teams is pretty good. So obviously that's a pretty good achievement for an MLS player to be playing average against some sides. I think the only notable mistake I saw in Walker Zimmerman is his mistake against Wales. Um, for Henry Kessler, I think he's been pretty good this year for them for New England Revolution, and he's 24. So obviously, depending on how he decides to play this year, obviously he can earn himself a move abroad, and I think he has some qualities to him. He has some qualities to him. I'm not gonna lie. Another center back is Philip Quinton. Philip Quinton has been doing pretty good as well. I think he should be starting for the game against Mexico. I think considering that he's 23, he has been looking pretty good for Columbus, and he's one of the reasons why Columbus are doing pretty good so far. I think we should be selecting him. Lucas Barley has been very, very solid for St. Louis City, and I think part of the reason why they have been so solid in the back line is because of Lucas Barley. So obviously, if it were to me, I think it'll be these four with Quinton and Zimmerman starting at the center back spots. So yeah, I think that it's a pretty good choice. Next is gonna be the fullbacks. Fullbacks, I think it's gonna be John Tolkien, Mauricio Cias, DeJuan Jones, and Nathan Harriel. If I had to choose them, I think it'd be these four. DeJuan Jones will be the oldest one here at 25. I think DeJuan Jones obviously is going to be a more of a depth piece, and like in these next 2 years, I think it's going to be more serving more as a depth piece in case if someone gets injured, and so in case of like we don't have enough players. I think it's going to be DeJuan Jones. Uh, John Tolkien obviously is. I think for now, I think he's. When it comes to left backs, I think it's Anthony Robinson first. Obviously, like it's pretty obvious he's the best one we have. Left back, I don't think Joe Scally. I would ever choose Joe Scally as a left back, but obviously, if I'd rather play Joe Scally at left back rather than John Tolkien, so obviously number two, Joe Scally. So I think John Tolkien's about third or second when it comes to left backs. I think he has some very good qualities to him, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And obviously, John Tolkien is pretty good so far in this year, nonetheless. So obviously, I think John Tolkien should be starting the game against Mexico. Mauricio Sayas has been looking pretty good as well for Pachuca down in Liga MX. He's a dual national, and obviously, if we have to win every single dual national battle we can win this year, especially the ones against Mexico. We have to win them, and obviously, part of the recruitment process will be probably selecting him for a friendly against the arch rival. Mauricio Sayas has been looking pretty good for Pachuca. I like how he plays a lot. He's 21 years old. He's still pretty young. He's drawing interest from abroad, so from Europe, obviously, because he's already abroad technically. But obviously, I think he has a good career ahead of him. DeJuan Jones, obviously, he's a very great MLS fullback, but obviously I think that's about it. I think considering the fact that he's 25, I don't think he can earn himself a move abroad. But let's hope I'm just saying these words. Nathan Harriel, he's been looking pretty good in CCL, and he has been starting for Philadelphia Union very recently in MLS as well. So I'm hoping Nathan Harriel can build up from this in order to get himself a starting spot at Philadelphia Union, solidifying it, because Mbaizo is a pretty average player to me. I think Nathan Harriel is a much better player than Mbaizo. So obviously for me, I think Nathan Harriel has to be the guy. He has to solidify a role in order to get himself a move abroad as well. So yeah, I think these will be my four fullbacks. Next is going to be the midfielders. I'm going to be deciding to bring a pretty interesting group of midfielders here. Eric Williamson, Timothy Tillman, Frankie Maya, Aiden Morris, James Sands, Richie Desmond, Brian Gutierrez. So let's start off here with Brian Gutierrez. I think considering the fact that Chicago Fire don't like to release a lot of their players, here, release him for a midweek camp and just play him. Like, like, just have no problems with playing him. Come on. He's been really good for Chicago Fire as well. I think, considering the fact that Sherdan Shakiri is injured right now, I think Chicago Fire have been looking like a much better side with Brian Gutierrez, and I think that's pretty much what Chicago Fire has to do with Sherdan Shakiri is just like say, hey, Shakiri, your time is up. Like it is up. Like it's time for Brian Gutierrez to play, and I think Sherdan Shakiri is not that good with an MLS player. He has been looking. He's not. I think he's already old. His knees are bad, and obviously Brian Gutierrez has been looking very promising. So obviously, I think Chicago Fire should move on from Sherdan Shakiri for once. So I'm hoping they certainly do this. Richie Ledesma, obviously the key dual national as well. He has been looking pretty good for PSV. He recently just moved to NYCFC. He has been looking up and down as of recent in MLS. So what I'm hoping for here is he can solidify a role at NYCFC for this season, and obviously be a starter and obviously be a contributor to that team in order to for him to become a starter. Uh, I think Ledesma needed this loan move. I think considering the fact that he got injured a lot in Holland, I think this move will do for him some help, and he'll be getting a lot more consistent minutes. So that's even more of a plus. James Sands, obviously, he had a disappointing loan move at Rangers, but has been looking really good for NYCFC as of late. So I'm hoping that he can be part of our roster. Uh, Aiden Morris has been amazing so far. He's been scoring goals, giving assists out, and it has been a totally crazy season from him. So obviously, I believe he has earned that right to be in the spot for the U.S. men's national team. I think both of them have a lot of qualities, and I mean a lot of quality. So I certainly hope that we can get someone like him to be playing against Mexico. Timothy Tillman obviously has been looking pretty good, really good for LAFC. He looks like one of their best players, and I think LAFC have a good chance, like they have a stronger chance of winning CCL because of Timothy Tillman. And obviously, I don't know how good MLS is a good like I don't know how good it is, like basically because Sherman Shakiri is failing at MLS, but you have a Timothy Tillman over here that wasn't even a starter at Bundesliga 2, and he just turned into an MLS superstar. So this has me questioning the real quality of Major League Soccer. Like, there's a lot of questions I have right now, and that I wish to know. So, and obviously Timothy Tillman has said that he is open to a U.S. call. So that's what I'm hoping, that he gets with us in order for him to play with us. And obviously, all I hope is that he can become a very good depth piece to our midfield. Eric Williamson, obviously, we haven't seen him since the Gold Cup, so I'm hoping we can see him. I think he'll be a nice depth piece for the at the six. So obviously, this is a very good group of midfielders that I'll be choosing. I don't know what Anthony Hudson will be choosing. Like I'm personally like I don't even care no more because I pretty much already know he's gonna be picking some washed up players, which I hope I'm wrong. But like let's be real. Alan Senora is so terrible. So no Alan Senora as well. Next is wingers. I think it's gonna be Caleb Wiley, Katie Cowell, Alejandro Sendejas, and Cole Bassett. So obviously, I think Caleb Wiley and Cade Cowell should be coming. I think part of the reason is Cade Cowell is obviously doing national, and obviously he hasn't been going to the U20 camps as of recent. So I'm hoping that San Jose can get a lot more confident as the season goes on to release their players for non-mandatory games. Caleb Wiley has been looking really good, and obviously Atlanta United do not release him for anything relating to the U20. So obviously, if you're not gonna be releasing someone to the youth teams, just release them to the senior team. Just do that for us, please. Do it for us. Next is Alejandro Sendejas. Obviously, been amazing for America so far in Liga MX. He looks like he is one of the best players in Liga MX, in my opinion. He has been looking very amazing. He's a player that changes the game a lot. It's like especially in Liga MX, he changes the game a lot. Cole Bassett obviously has been looking pretty good for a Colorado Rapids side that has been looking absolutely terrible right now at the moment, and that are struggling right now at the moment and are last in the table. So obviously Cole Bassett has been looking pretty good, even in midst of a very terrible situation. So that's what I'm hoping that our midfield can look like. Next is going to be going to the strikers. Strikers for me is going to be Brandon Vasquez because obviously it's Brandon Vasquez. Although he has been struggling, I think he has been looking pretty good here and there. I don't think he's a player that necessarily has to score to be contributing to the team. So obviously that's my opinion on him. I think next with Nicolas Gioacchini, I think he's been looking pretty good as well. He looks like a player with smart movements around the box. So all I hope is that Nicolas Gioacchini we can maybe give him a look. Jesus Ferreira, obviously, this is going to be one of his last chances with the national team. I think if he does fail again under a new system, I think we should move on from him. I would obviously try to push him abroad as well in order for him to get to actually like win his position, like not just having it to be given to him. So obviously, if I were the one making the choices, I think I'll be making the choices this way. So obviously, with like I'm gonna have a quick speak about Jordan Morris. I think Jordan Morris should maybe be selected, but I think he's gonna be selected better as a striker. I think as a winger, I think he just lacks the defensive work rate at all. Like he just lacks the defensive work rate. Let's be real over here. He does lack that work rate on the side of the ball a lot. So I think Jordan Morris has to be playing as a striker for now. And obviously he has lost a lot of speed from both of his ACL injuries. So obviously I think he should be playing as a full time striker. Um, and obviously, who else? I think that's about it. I think let's go over my preferred 11. So my preferred 11 will be Roman Solentano on goal because obviously he's the best choice available. Back four of John Tolkien, Philip Clinton, Walker Zimmerman, and Juan Jones, which will be an amazing back line guarded by a double pivot, which is pretty good of Aiden Morris and James Sands. That double pivot will be amazing. With Tillman as the cam, obviously he has been very good, and obviously I can probably take like a guy like Brian Gutierrez, starting. So obviously there's that. Caleb Wiley and Alejandro Sendejas at the wings. Both of them have an amazing form, especially Alejandro Sendejas. So all I'm hoping is that he can probably score a goal against Mexico. That's all I'm hoping. Caleb Wiley, obviously, he has been looking amazing for Atlanta United and has been scoring goals for a He's been scoring goals and providing assists, and obviously is an attacking spark as well. So obviously this is a very good two wide players, and obviously my striker will be Brandon Vasquez. Brandon Vasquez, like he has been looking amazing, and I think he's one of those type of players that don't necessarily need to score to provide for their team. I think with the danger he provides, I think that's enough. So I think with already this, I think this is a very good 11. And I think if we're going to be starting off the year and obviously start off the new cycle and obviously start to continue to bury Mexico, I think we have to win this game. Obviously, we need to win. If we want to win Nations League and Gold Cup, obviously winning this friendly has to do a big part of it. And obviously, that it will set us up for momentum going into those two matches. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.